Hi everyone, my name's Leanne Wagner. This is my first voiced video, so please be kind. I live down under in Australia and in the most beautiful rural part of Australia, in Western Australia, not far from the town of Margaret River, which some of you might know as it's well known for its wine country. Anyway, I had a few people ask if I could include vocal instructions in my videos, so I'm going to give it a go. I've got to say I'm very nervous and I hope it's going to come across okay. So what I was looking at, what I'm going to show you today, is one of my cheats that I've been playing around with on how to try and come up with a similar effect as the Tim Holtz glazes. So I love all Tim Holtz products and I buy a lot of his stamps, many of his stamps actually. I love all his inks. I use the Distress inks, I use the Oxide inks, and I get really excited every time he brings a new color out, as most of you do. So my problem though is that, of course, like a lot of people, I can't actually afford to purchase everything. If I could, I would buy all of his products, but it's just not a doable thing. So what I thought was, I'm an art teacher myself, and I've been working as both hobbyist and professional for a long time, 30 years probably. In regard to my scrapbooking experience, we're looking at about 25 years. I was actually a card maker to start with, and my passion was stamps. Anyway, and you know, as I said, that's what I do as a career. Is I'm an art teacher. I teach students from year 1 to year 10, and I thought, hey, you've got a couple of degrees, you should be able to work out a way of cheaply and easily some way to sort of replicate the effect. It is not going to be exactly like Tim Holtz's product, and if you can afford to buy it, absolutely do so. But if you're just looking for an alternative, this might be a help to you. So I'll just show you a couple of pieces that I've done. Not sure, how can you, hopefully you can see that okay. This is my pretend washi tape that I made. So I've just used the Distress Ranger Archival inks, also popular and a product of Tim Holtz. And I've used a medium, and hopefully the camera will show you that you are getting that shine and glaze on your stamped images. Now you would have seen, if you're a fan of Tim Holtz, you would have seen a lot of his washi tapes are this multiple layered stamped effect. So I was trying to replicate that in some way as well. I also thought about making tags. So I messed around stamping some insects, one of my favorite things that I love to stamp, and try out some different colored effects and some pieces that I could use as background pieces for embellishment clusters. So there's that one. Here's another little one here where I've just used the one color, and this one where I've used several layers of the glaze look with different greens, and this one where I've actually made what will be a tag. So I've done different layers on here. I've stamped with archival ink in several colors. I've put the glaze on, I've done some splattering, and then I've done some blending of Distress ink over the top. And then also I was messing around with trying it out with stencils. So I've done a few different color ranges here. Just using this honeycomb stencil, which is from Vicky Booten, I believe. And you can see, and this is with Distress inks as well, you can see the beautiful colors you can get from those Distress inks. But the exciting bit for me was that it worked really well with a stencil. So if I tilt it slightly, you should be able to see the shimmer and shine there. That is using the glaze with the stencil. You'll notice that on top of that, there is some stenciling that is very matte. Okay, and that has been done with modeling compound, which is also sold as modeling paste. So I've done a layer. I did a layer with the glaze, and then on top of that I've put a layer with the modeling paste. Okay, so let me show you what I've done. I'll start off by showing how I just stamp the images on. It's a very simple process. It doesn't take long, and it's just a bit of fun. So what I'd suggest is, like most of you, I've got lots of these scraps that are always offcuts from my white backgrounds that I use generally for mixed media projects. So I'm just using these pieces up, which I'll then later use in a layout. But you could, if you wanted to, cut yourself long strips. You could cut them much thinner if you chose to. You know, if you want that real washy look, you could use a really thin piece of card. But I'm just using these today just to show you the basics. So I was thinking about it, and one of the washi tapes that Tim used to do, I'm not sure if he still has it, and one that other companies do quite a lot that I've seen, is a travel style. And I've got these, I just pulled out this random set here from Kaiser Craft. It's an old one, I'm not sure if it's available, called Let's Go. It's got some interesting images on here. Some of them are quite big, but I think they'll work okay. So I'm just going to do a couple of, I'll pull that out and that out, and just go with these three, I think. And we'll stamp them and create some wide sort of fake washi tape with our stamps, and then we'll glaze it. Right, just before we start, I just want to talk about the ink used. When you buy multiple layered washi tape like this with the stamped images, generally it is done with sepia or it is done with black. So I'm going to do both of those today, but I also thought I might try, because this is actually new, the Hickory Smoke Archival ink. It's a soft grey, and we'll see what we can get working with that. Please excuse the state of my printing blocks. They are very old. They are very stained. They get used almost on a daily basis. So, you know, I'm all about tools being tools and not precious items that sit and look pretty. So a lot of my gear, you might go, oh my gosh, she doesn't clean those very well. It's because they're tools, and I don't have the time, to be honest, to be spending all my time cleaning everything all the time. I'd much rather be stamping and creating. Okay, let's do it. Right, so I'm starting off with the beautiful vintage photo, which is very similar to a sepia brown, as you will see. And I thought, even though this suitcase stamp is quite big, I thought it will work okay for this. So off we go. We're just going to do one with the brown just going to move those out the way. This is going to be my brown one. And just going to use those top 3 suitcase images. And we might go with the bottom ones on this side. Alright, now we're off and racing. So next let's grab something else to put on here. I quite like this long strip. Not really sure what it is. I think it looks a bit like warning tape or safety strip or something you might put on. Ooh, we're just going to put it that way. Now I am trying to layer, so I'm going over these suitcases. I'm just going to put a bit right here as well. Okay, next, what should we add next? Let's try, oh, hang on, what are they saying? To travel is to live. I like that. Might go with that one. Just remove my suitcases. I wonder if we can get some of that text on there. That looks pretty good. I think to travel is to live is going to fit just beautifully. Oh yeah, love it. Looks great. And then I think, and I'm not worrying about anything overlapping. If you've got a concern about that, you could stamp something else on top of that to disguise that line a bit. But it's, you know, it's supposed to be random. It's supposed to be a bit of fun and mixed up. Let's try this, which I think is an aeroplane zooming through the sky. Oh my gosh, I wish I was doing that myself. Travel's not really happening as much here. We have got some people that are traveling in Australia now, but a lot of people are still really concerned about COVID. And for us in Western Australia, we're on our 3rd wave of COVID. At my school where I work at the moment, we've still got a lot of families out. Now I might just put that over there because it's cute and I like it. And maybe even in that top corner there could be interesting. Yeah, looking good. We're getting there. Okay, now there is an aeroplane, but I remember when I used this aeroplane before, it didn't stamp that well. To me, it looked a bit. We'll give it a go, but I think I remember when I used it before, then I didn't really think it was a good image, but we'll see. Maybe it will be okay. Yeah, see, I don't know why I don't like it, but I think because when it stamps, it's kind of grainy and you don't get a really nice, strong image. And I'm deciding I don't actually like that line I put in there, and perhaps I should have positioned it a bit better when I was doing it, but, you know, random is. So I am going to put some of this on there to hide that. I'm just going to move that across. See if we can disguise it a bit. Oh yeah, that works. Just hides it a bit and makes it look less like a mistake. And the other thing that I think, given that it's travel that we need, is some small little, I don't know even what you call them, little stamps with circles and things. What's that one? Like this sort of thing. Just sort of looks a bit travel-ish, even if it doesn't say anything to do with travel. think of that other one. Here we go. We could put a ticket. So I'm really going a bit over the top here with the stamps, and probably I wouldn't even layer as many and use as many. But it's looking okay. I might just, because I don't like this aeroplane, I put this ticket over the top as well. Yes, now I'm happy. I think that looks okay. Okay, so now we're going to mix our medium with some sort of color medium. So the medium I'm using is Impasto Gel Medium. It's a Chromacryl product. Mine is very old. It is probably about 7 years old. It's what it is, and I'm just going to show you, it's quite runny. It's pretty runny. It is a lot like white glue. In fact, I'm pretty sure that you could probably use PVA glue to get the same effect. I haven't tried it myself, but if you don't have any Impasto Gel Medium, maybe you want to give that a go. I just tried this because I've had it sitting here for years, haven't used it a lot. I was using it for some mixed media artworks way back when, but yeah, it's just been sitting there, and I thought, hey, it dries clear, it's a possibility. So this is what I've used. The price, now I'm in Australia, and as I said, I'm pretty sure this is about 7 years old, but I bought it for $12.26, which is a weird amount. I'm pretty sure that you would pay now around 20 to 25 Australian dollars for this, would be my estimate, with the way things have gone up. I can't tell you what it would be in the US. Generally, you guys, your things seem to be cheaper than ours, and you seem to have really good deals with coupons and things. What I would say is that, you know, I've had it at least 7 years and it's still fine. It does have a few lumps in here, and when I'm using it, I just have to make sure that I get any lumps out. I'm sure down at the bottom there's no lumps at all, but at the top there's a few lumps, which you wouldn't really want for this particular technique, because you want to get a nice smooth surface generally. Okay, let's have a look at what we're doing with it. So we've got our medium. You just need some sort of color medium. So I'm going to show you first off with alcohol ink, also a Distress range of product, Tim Holtz product. I'm going to show you with a Distress spray, because I'm pretty sure that will just be fine. And I thought we'd give this a go. Heidi Swapp Color Shine. So this is Coral, which is a lovely soft pastel apricot color. I thought it would look nice on the grey, so we're going to give it a go. But it's got that shimmer in there, so perhaps we will get a nice shimmery effect. So let's do it. So we just need some of our medium. You can see it's quite runny. Now, I'm only mixing this amount because obviously I'm just doing these tiny little slips of card. My suggestion would be, though, if you're going to play around with it, make a whole heap of things. Make a day of it, half a day of it, and make a whole range of things. Because one of the things with it, which I forgot to mention, is yes, you can dry it with a heat gun, but it's not going to dry completely. So you'll find that you'll need to make things in advance and leave them to dry overnight. And there's a little bit more about that too. But first we'll just do this, and then I'll tell you some other bits and pieces. Right, so let's go with the alcohol ink. I'm going with Pool. The colour is called Pool. I think it might be nice with our, what was it called? Vintage Photo ink. And I'm putting 1, 2, 3, 4 drops in there. Now I've tried this one before, so I've got an idea of how much colour I want to put in there. Obviously, the more colour you add, the darker it's going to be. And obviously, if you're starting with something really dark, like I've got also Stream alcohol ink here, which is much darker than Pool, you're going to need less, unless you want a really dark effect. But we're making a glaze, so we don't want it too heavy. With our glazes, you should be able to see through it. That's the whole idea of it. So you want your colors quite light and bright. The darkest I went was here, and I think, what did I use? I think I used lettuce maybe, or moss. What's this one called? Meadow, perhaps. Or it might have been Meadow, I think, which is a darker ink. Anyway, back to our Pool. So I'm mixing it up with our medium, our Impasto Gel Medium. Now that's the important point, is the word gel in there. So you can get a lot of Impasto mediums, but they are not all gel ones. So some of them are, and what that means is this is translucent when it dries, but some of your Impasto mediums are not translucent. They are opaque, so they block light traveling through them. And in our case with the glaze, we definitely want to be able to see through what we're doing, what we're making. All right, here we go. Now you can probably see, I can see there's a couple of little bits of lumps in there that I don't want, but that's all right. We can just wipe it off. Obviously, if you have a glass mat, or if you have a silicone mat to work on, use that. I have not fallen down that hole yet and purchased those things. I just tend to use a bit of scrap paper. Most of these white bits of 12 by 12 that I use have come out of page protectors that I've purchased, and I tend to use them over and over. There we go. So I'm applying it thinly. We want it transparent. If you're trying to make washi tape, you want to try and get it an even coverage. If you want to try and do something like this, you want that texture, you want difference of depth within your applications. But with a washi tape sort of effect, we want it quite similar. Whoops, I'm missing the edge there. Ooh. And you've got to try and not scrape it off again once you've got it on there. So it's a little bit of messing around. It's a bit like icing a cake. Takes a little while, but worth the effort. And let's face it, we're playing, we're having fun, we're being creative. All right, I'm fine with that. I don't need perfection. It's art. Art should never be perfect. There should always be some little mistake in it. And it's not a mistake in our world. Okay, right, there we go. So it's going on. Oops, I've got a lump at the end there. I'll just quickly show you what it looks like when I dry it. You can see that we've got the ink shining through beautifully. And the glaze is just giving us a hint of that blue. Okay. So I'm just going to show you this also. So generally what I would do when I was trying a new colour is I would make a little swatch so you've got some idea of what it is. And you can even, you know, just add to it how much you put in. So I know roughly when I'm mixing up any of this, it's about 2 tablespoons of medium, 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, and then I'll put my drops in. So you could write, what can we put here? We could go AI. Oh, this is a terrible pen. So alcohol ink, and we can just go pool. That was the color, and we can go 4 drops, which is what I added to this particular one. And then you can have little samples, make some little samples. So then next time when you want to pull out and have a go doing this again, you know what color and how many drops of ink to add. All right, let's try our Heidi Swapp Colour Shine and see how that goes. Now the Colour Shine is slightly opaque. It's not really opaque like a acrylic paint is. You can see through it slightly, but it's certainly a lot more opaque than when we're using our alcohol ink. So you might notice that you either need to apply it thinner, or that you just put up with the coverage in order to have the shimmer effect. I'm just going to pour it on here. I've had this such a long time. Still looks perfectly fine. Oops. Bit of a drip down the side. All right, so I'll just mix it in. Now I've added a lot more because I'm heavy-handed, a lot more than I probably wanted, but we'll see how we go. There's no adding a drop. I guess you could get yourself a little, what do we call them, pipette, a little dropper, and add it drop by drop, but I can't be bothered doing that at the moment. I do have one. Okay, so I chose this particular colour because I thought it might be nice with the grey. The grey is quite light and subtle, and I thought we need something that's in the similar sort of mood and feel, as Janet Madison would say. All right, well, let's give it a go. Ooh, I like it. Now, I'm not actually worried about covering the whole thing because the areas where I'm not covering it, I'll later be going over with some ink probably. And I'll be using, and remember I said I was going to use these as cluster bases for cluster embellishments. So there we go. That was nice and simple and easy. And once again, we need to dry it off with the heat gun. Right, our last one I'm going to try is using the Distress Spray Stain. So that's a water-based dye, I think, or ink. Unlike that alcohol ink, which of course is alcohol-based. And what shall we do? Might as well spray it in there. Ooh, nice. Now, what colour is this? Wild Honey. Ooh, 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 I like it. I'm thinking though, because it's a yellow, we might put 2 sprays. So I haven't tried this one before and I'm not sure of the intensity of the ink. Ooh, it's lovely. It's a bit like my favourite Ranger ink, the Butterscotch. Let's see what it looks like over this. So we're just, oh, it's lovely. So we're just smoothing it on, making a sticky mess. Beautiful. I love it. It's not even dry and I love it. Yeah, and that's it. I'm only putting that much on. Wow, that's really nice. So I'm going to make myself a little sample card here as well, because I like it. And when that dries, I'll write on there that I squirted 2 sprays into it. Okay, that is gorgeous against the black ink. Right, going to dry it off. Right, well, I'm loving this colour that we made. It is beautiful. So that is the Distress Spray from Tim Holtz Ranger, Wild Honey. And the colour is amazing. Check this out. How beautiful is that? It's just gorgeous. So I've made my swatch. I've made my little washi tape. But I was thinking I'm going to put it over some of my texture paste stenciling that I did in my other video, where I show you how to make the texture paste, because I just think it's just glorious. Look at that colour. It's beautiful. Really excited. So pretty. Really, really nice. And I'm going to try it also on a gold shimmer texture paste. This is also in my video. I'll show you where I made how to make your own at home. Really simple, super simple. Oh, now I just want to make more of that now. I'm going to rub it on there. Ooh, glorious. It's glorious. Okay, a couple of things I forgot to mention. So I did say I'm not a fan so much of cleaning tools, but in this case you must clean it. And I'll show you why, because it dries, as most mediums do, as a hard glue plastic on your surface. So every time you're using this, when you finish, wipe your palette knife, wipe whatever you're using as your palette, and just get it all off. And you're ready to go again. All right, so let's have a look at what we've ended up with. So our first one we did had the Impasto Gel Medium with the alcohol ink, and I'd stamped with the Vintage Photo Archival ink. It's still a bit tacky because it's not completely dry, But you can see you've got that beautiful sheen. You've got a really beautiful transparent colour wash over your stamping. So that's worked out quite well. The Heidi Swapp, as we said, is a little bit more opaque. Oh, and the other thing was, with both of these two, because I'd gone for quite a light mix, I ended up going over it again and giving it a second coat. So I dried it with the heat gun, and then I was like, not really happy with that. I want some more colour. So I just put what I had left over across the top and dried it again. Now the Heidi Swapp sheen, and I'm not even sure if you can see it, but it does have that shine to it, just like her spray does. So that's worked out well. That colour's quite nice with the grey. I think if I was going to add some ink or anything more to it, I'd be using some browns or maybe some pale blues and some browns with it. I'll think about that when I do my cluster embellishment with it. And then this one, which I just love. How great was this? So the Distress Spray Stain was fantastic. Intense colour. I mean, we just put 2 squirts in, so that wasn't a lot. And really golden and beautiful. So I'm really happy with that. I've also got some of the Heidi Swapp one, which I've put over some of my texture. Oh, it's hard to see in this light. Which I've put over my texture stenciling that I did the other week. And if you want to learn how to do that, make your own texture pastes and use it with your stencils, you can watch my video. It's on my channel. And that looks gorgeous. And here we've got some of the wild honey on some of the texture paste as well. That is still wet, as you can see. It's very shiny because it's very wet. Right, so here's the negative. So one of the negatives is that when you have got them dry, you may find with this particular gel medium that you have a little bit of tackiness to it. So I personally don't really care because generally I'm putting things on top of it. You may really be concerned about that though if you are a card maker. You know, this might not cut it for you, the tackiness. So it's a common thing with gel mediums to have that. There are other brands of gel medium, and as I said, I'm just using this one because it's what I've got, and perhaps there is better quality artist ones that you don't get this happening. If it's a real concern for you, because eventually it does dry completely and it's gone. And these ones, the insect ones I did, I don't know, I think 6 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago. And there is the slightest tackiness to it. It's so slight. An easy way to get rid of that though is much like people do with their stickers, is if you use some sort of, and it can just be corn flour out of your kitchen, if you use some sort of powder like that, apply it over the top, the problem is completely gone. Okay, so there we go. It's fine now. It's not going to stick to anything. Considering how much money you're going to save by making the glazes yourself like this, I think it's worth a little tackiness. What I did find is when with the making the glazes and then going over with the ink, that decreased it as well. Like this is not tacky at all, but that's had Distress ink over the top. Whereas this one that was tacky is just the layers of the glaze, the homemade glaze. Okay, so if you're working on top of that with other inks other types of stamping and things, it should decrease it greatly. And if not, you can just, as I've just done, put some powder of some kind over the top and the problem solved. All right, that's it. I hope it's useful to some people. I'm interested myself now in trying it with PVA, but I've run out of time to play with that at the moment. So perhaps someone else might try that out. I suspect that it will do exactly the same thing, that you will end up with a beautiful clear glaze that you can apply to anything that you like. All right, have a good week, people. This is my day off from work, so that's why I'm playing. I hope you're having a fun day as well. Bye for now.